Good evening and welcome along to the latest edition of the Endless Celts Podcast. Apologies for the delay. You should be getting used to it. It's a Monday club, and this week again, it was my fault that we were late. But it's all good. It's all good. Had a bit of a busy weekend looking after the kids. I was flying solo with them, and I enjoyed myself yesterday. I had a wee chat as I was telling the guys off air yesterday. But how was your weekend, Stephen?
My weekend was good. I mean, I cut the story short here. I didn't actually see the Celtic game for my sins, but I was at the Cliftonville Linfield match, and Cliftonville managed to bring home their first Irish Cup in 45 years. So I went along with two friends. I was a blow-in. I got invited, so I took it. Fantastic day out. So a lot of drink was consumed. I didn't go home to the early hours of the next day, so I was a bit fragile, and I had the kids the day after. But, that was good crack as well. Done a lot of things, and it was just fantastic. But a good wee weekend all in all. Caught up with the Celtic game, caught up with all the highlights, caught up with all the press conferences and unique angles that Celtic TV put out. So pretty well versed. I'm looking forward to a good chat. And also, it's a bit like what Roger said, a bit of fun. Looking forward to a bit of fun tonight.
That's it. We're in for a bit of fun. And yourself, Anthony, how's you?
I was fine until I just heard that our highest, feature here just told us that he didn't watch the Celtic game in favour of watching a Linfield game.
Cliftonville, Linfield. Cliftonville versus Linfield, not Linfield.
I have Linfield. All good.
Unfortunately,
as happens too often with me on a weekend, and I don't understand why I do a Monday podcast, to be honest. Also missed most of the game, but I did hear it on the radio, and like Steve as well, watched all the highlights, watched all the press conferences. We're praying, Franny, that you actually saw the game, though.
I did see the game. I did see the game. At least one of us here. I've seen the game.
We're away. See you later, Franny.
They may actually beat Anthony. Might have wished he was on the night. It could be a short one again. But a big welcome to everybody in the comments, just the users, San Fran, Montes there, Christophe, better give him a mention, that's my uncle's pal, over in France, Paul McFarlane, they're all in, so if you guys have got any questions...
Why is it, but why does people think I'm counting stamps? I'm not. It was Franny's the reason why we were late. Franny's the reason.
I'll admit we were late, but it was because I was looking at a stamp for you. I tell you I had
a... you're funny, you're funny.
So I just actually checking for it. So that's why I was late. That's why I was late. Jed, our very own Jed's in the comments as well. But we'll just kind of get in it. We'll come to yourself, Anthony. It will be very brief, seeing as you've seen the highlights of the game. So just a wee brief overview of the game, and before we kind of
I think as most people have probably seen the game better than I have. It was a bit of a scary start to begin with. Was it Shankland? He shot the kind of deflects out for a corner. I would like to believe Hart had that covered, to be honest. But from what I could hear and tell on the radio, at least, we came back into the game pretty quickly. We weren't overly troubled throughout the majority of it for me. The Kyogo goals, both of them were actually both pretty fucking shit hot. If you ask me, Matt O'Reilly's penalty, he's extremely confident with them. Where's he been all season? However, I'm a little bit dubious if he's going to keep putting them high that one of them's going to go into the stands at some point, and then we'll be back to square one. But it's a good three goals, clean sheet, and I don't think we were overly troubled. From what I understand, the highlights don't do this justice, but from what I understand, definitely a much better tempo in the second half up in the game. And I want to say that possibly is one of the first and few games where it's not been a good 45, bad 45. It's actually been a good 90, which is probably what we want going into next week's game. Full of confidence. Players like Jimmy Forrest, fire. Kyogo finding his goals. McGregor, by all accounts, really good in the midfield. Hatate and Matt O'Reilly, both with their passes in for Kyogo, absolutely sublime. And more of that for next week, as far as I could see.
It was that for me as well. I thought we kind of controlled it, but just for yourself, Stephen, just again a brief overview of the game, and then we'll kind of get into it.
I mean, to be fair, what I've seen as well.
The Celtic game, not the Linfield one.
Listen, Cliftonville versus that. You're not pigeonholing me with that shit. I went to see Cliftonville versus Linfield. But I mean, in terms of the Celtic game, I mean, there was no lack of updates on my phone. Let's just say every 2 seconds I was looking at it, there was something on the chat anyway, so it felt like I was watching in some sense. But I think Hearts started probably the best in the first maybe 5 to 10 minutes or so. Obviously, that Shankland effort, I think we defended it quite well. But like what McGinty said, I would expect that Joe Hart would probably save that opportunity. And what I liked on the highlights anyway, Coon was back there helping out defensively. So Kuhn is learning that part of the game, and Rodgers obviously likes his wingers to do the defensive dirty work, and he was in the box trying to clear that opportunity away. Without getting into the goals too much, because I know we're going to get into them individually. I thought watching Kyogo just be bright and getting in and around the box was fantastic. I thought Rio and Matt O'Reilly with their assists were absolutely sublime as well, and just Kyogo having that kind of lease of energy again coming towards the end of the season is exactly what we need. We've talked about it for, a few weeks now in the podcast. What's he going to do? Is he going to fit in for future stuff like that? But on Saturday's evidence, he was absolutely fantastic. And you go to the Matt O'Reilly penalty kick. I mean, let's be fair, that Celtic's records of penalties aren't the greatest, but I think that penalty was put away, top bin, no effort to him at all. Panenka at Ibrox, and he scores that at the end against Hearts. Both the minis and their big brothers. So, I mean, it's fantastic that he's managed to do that in two big high pressure environments, and it's good to see him again, his form coming back. And Cal McGregor, the cheers that I've seen after his tackle on Vargas. Yeah, it's just good. That's the energy we need at Celtic Park. That's the enthusiasm we need from the support. That will drip feed down to the players. And I thought, like McGinty said, from what I can gather, it was the first time probably in a while that we've had a decent 90 minutes.
I know. I think that's fair. Like I said, McGinty said that we wouldn't say we started the game bad, but Hearts did. They started on fire, and obviously Shankland had that chance right in the first minute, really. And it's one guy you wouldn't want it to falter, but frankly, for me, he's not caught it well. And I think it was Carter Vickers that blocked it. Then obviously, we go up the park, Stephen, and we get a corner. Corner comes in, and I think Hatate does brilliant. It'd be easy for him to have a shot. I mean, he might hit the score off the shot, but it cleverly just puts it in an area, and Kyogo just does what Kyogo does. He's alert inside the box and sticks it away great.
Oh, 100%. And for the people saying that Rio either mishit that or was trying for a lofted kind of lob over Sander Clark is so far gone from that. It's unbelievable. I thought he picked Kyogo out really well. Look, this is one of the only times I'll give the guys on Sportsing any credit. I thought the analysis of the goal was actually quite interesting, watching Hearts do solo marking and picking up the taller players and kind of making that box around the keeper. But Kyogo was just left by himself, isolated. And when that ball popped back out the Rio, he was in the right place at the right time. And his header back across Sander Clark was fantastic. And the only thing that confused me about it was, 100% Corville, good to see you back in, buddy. The only thing that confused me a bit was the offside rule. And I know we'll come on to it, but the taking about, 4 minutes to decide if it was a goal, and the lines didn't look right. But in my opinion, it was a definite onside goal, and again, fantastic pick out from Rio for his assist.
I know it was. I think it was a great assist. Like I said, whether he's went deliberately trying to pick out Kyogo or not, I don't know. But I think he's been clever and kept it in an area. And before we kind of talk to Anthony before the goal, you can go into it. But I'll leave you to explain why it was onside, because I understand why it was onside. I know the rule. I just described it horribly in the group chat and tried to explain it. Because you've done it a lot better and made it a lot simpler.
So I dare say even people in the chat will get this a lot simpler than I'll get it. The general rule that nobody really thinks about it because it doesn't happen.
It's rare.
The general rule is it should be two defending players, not one. Mm-hmm. So it's one plus the keeper is usually what it is. So when the keeper's too far forward, then the one defender isn't enough. It needs to be one in the keeper. But as Stephen was saying, why did it take about 4 minutes? One replay, and you could see, it was kind of close, and you might want to have a second glance, but one replay, and you can see, he's onside. It didn't need 4 minutes of nonsense at all.
It was nuts. And what did you actually think of the goal as well?
The goal was absolutely superb. I'm actually watching the second one just now, which has confused me a little bit.
You haven't even seen it. You haven't even seen it.
But you're right what you're saying. Does Hatate mean to pick out Kyogo's head? Probably not exactly, but he's not taking a shot there. He's lofted that into a position for somebody to get onto the end of it. It's a beautifully weighted, lofted pass into the box, knowing that there's something going on there. And he knows that Kyogo is going to be thereabouts. And Kyogo's, he did it. He's done it all his career, to be honest, but he did it last week as well. And he's done it this week a few times, even without getting a goal at the end of it. You can still see Kyogo making that run. Somebody else is taking the shot. Somebody else is doing. Kyogo's making that run to get the slack ball when it falls down. It sometimes. So I know Ross and that have always had the conversation: is it personnel? Is it style? Is it what makes Kyogo not be involved as much as? I think he's on fire just now. 2 goals today, but 2 goals this weekend. Scored last weekend as well. Was it? He is getting in those same positions. He's having to do it slightly differently, and the balls coming in aren't coming through the wide channels as they used to be. We Abad and Jota last season, they're coming at him a bit different, but he's taking time to adapt to that. But his 2 goals on Saturday show you that he's able to still read that line, make the late runs, get on the end of a ball that's close to the 6-yard box and just nip it and get the shot in. But that header was really great. It was a great pass in from Hatate, and he heads it very, very well.
See, to go back to the VAR, sorry, Franny, the VAR decision. So I'm getting this right. I don't sound like an idiot. So there has to be 2 defensive players.
Yes, and
does the goalkeeper basically make that defensive player null and void then? So is he out of the game effectively because he's in front of him?
It's 2 defenders, and the keeper counts as one of the defending players, if you like. And most
right.
I'm saying defensive players, not defenders. The keeper's a defensive player. Well, in fact, all 11 are defensive players.
But what I'm struggling to get, and this is going to sound really idiotic to me, if, for example, Kyogo was in front of Sander Clark when the ball was played, Shankland is still in front of Kyogo, so why would it be offside?
So
that's what I'm struggling with. Do you get what I mean?
See, put Xander Clark in the 18-yard box, and was it Shankland, the Hearts player, that's pretty much on the line? So if Kyogo, when that ball comes over and it's Kyogo and then Shankland, he's offside because the keeper needs to be, either another player needs to be there or the keeper, because the keeper's ahead of the play.
Okay. Right, yeah.
You need 2 defenders. It's essentially 2 defensive players you need for offside. It's not one, but we only really ever look at it as one because the keeper's always usually on his line, if you like.
So
that makes sense.
Thinking this way, the keeper's usually the one furthest back. So there always needs to be one furthest back. So in this situation where Xander Clark's
the switch roles. Yeah, essentially. Although, I mean, Conor Gozin will love that opportunity. But see in terms of Kyogo, in terms of the style of play, and I totally agree with what you said, McGinty. What I'm noticing is the team are trying to feed him more from central areas at the moment, far quicker and far faster. O'Reilly and Hatate are key to that. So, as you said as well, I think he is on fire at the moment. And watching him play with that freedom and that smile back on his face and that look like he has the weight of the world on his shoulders. It's a joy to watch. And the first finish of his head is what was a spectacular goal all round, including Rio as well.
I mean, let's be honest. He's not been as on fire this season, and the whole team has not looked as entertainingly, exhilaratingly attacking as we would want it to be and used to under Ange. It's taking time for things to develop and change into what Rodgers is doing. Rodgers isn't getting the balls pinged in from both sides, like a bullet for Jota and Abad. That's not happening just now for many different reasons: injuries, player sales, different systems, and all the rest of it. But we've now started to see, because players are coming back in, players are finding the form again. Kyogo's now adapting how he receives the ball, where the ball's coming from. He knows that, and people are knowing his game, and it's starting to build again. People keep talking. I'm not going to debate, is Adam Ida worth 5 million? Should we sign him or not? That's another conversation. Is Kyogo possible to leave this summer? Should we develop and move on? No, absolutely not. Kyogo's your number 1 striker. He has proven to us right now that he can work in a Brendan Rodgers system. As I say, some of the guys on here have debated, is it personnel, is it style, is it the formation? What is it that's previously had Kyogo not hitting all the shots that he wants to? And it's a combination of all of it for me. The players haven't been available all season to fit Rodgers' style, which makes Kyogo have to do something different. But now that he's doing something different and players are fit and players are able to understand, it's now starting to click. You don't just become a shite player and totally null and void and ineffective just because the ball gets played via the byline of 40 yards out. You're still a quality striker. The ball still gets put on a plate to you. You're still got to score a goal. He's still doing it. I mean, what is he, 18, 19 goals now?
Yeah,
something like that.
I'm not going to argue at a guy getting the better part of 20 goals and because they did in a shite season. That's still decent.
Still decent enough. And we'll jump a wee bit ahead, Stephen, because we were going to kind of talk about Kyogo, but whether, because there has obviously, not just lately, but maybe throughout the season, there's been moments, is it personnel, is it style? And I think Ross asked me the question, so that's what kind of made me think about this. And I was of a similar theory as what McGinty was saying, Stephen. I argued it could be a bit of both, if you like, where you could say the personnel wasn't, like for me, it was the personnel wasn't there to allow Rodgers to play the style or that would suit Kyogo, the style of football, but now he's getting the personnel back. He can implement that style. But then ultimately, when you actually dissect that, you're falling on the side of personnel. Why are you showing me cranes?
Dick's in the chat are saying I eat crayons and they're a full pack there. I'll go ahead,
Brandon. So for me, I think it was never that Kyogo would never suit a Brendan Root because, like, we're no idiots. I would say you're just being an idiot if you think Rodgers wanted to play slow, methodical football. He wants to play fast football, but if you've not got the personnel there to do it, it's hard, and that's probably what was affecting Kyogo. But I don't know where you've kind of sitting with if it was style or was it personnel, or how did you see it?
I think it's a bit of style, right? For a reason, I think Rodgers is much more methodical in terms of how he wants Celtic to play, much more system-based than Postecoglou was. And what I mean by that is, on the range, we were very gung-ho, we were very expressive, we were very dynamic and quick to play the ball forward all the time, and that famous stop passing it backwards. But under Rodgers, he allows Celtic players to have the ball at the back, keep control of the possession, and just play in the round, the game, that famous horseshoe, whatever people call it, tactics-wise. And he's always said before, we rest when we have the ball. And you see that sometimes. The play does become a bit slower, a bit more laboured, so to speak. But when we get in the final 2/3 of the pitch, it starts to speed up. So there's a difference in style that way. And under Postecoglou, they thought Kyogo's movement probably looked more sharper because we were getting the ball up in 1 to 2 or 3 passes up the pitch. We were in behind him or crossing the ball in. And then that was where he was getting the most of his goals. Where I think his game has developed coming into the last couple of weeks of the season is he's starting to realise now that a Matt O'Reilly, for instance, is going to can play a long ball over the top to find him, or a Rio Tate can play a nice lofted ball into the box from a corner kick, knowing he's going to be in the right area. So it's a bit of both. I think Kyogo's maybe struggled to adapt at a slower tempo. And I know what you're saying, Franny, where Rodgers wants to play fast football. I'm not doubting that for a second, but I think we're more methodical and more kind of using our heads on the approach and when to attack and when to close teams and defend and that type of thing, where, as I said, Ange was just bang, 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 bang. You just need to get up the pitch as quick as you can. That's the major difference in the styles. Maybe Kyogo struggled with that because he's making the runs. He's not being found. He's like, well, just getting a bit frustrated with it himself. But games against Hearts, I thought that like when McGinty said, it clicked. He knew the spaces to be in. He knew where to receive the ball. He knew when the balls were coming to him. And I mean, that Matt O'Reilly ball and that touch, well, the first time finish, sublime. Reading the kind of the line of that pass as well. It was a fantastic pass too. So yeah, it is both style and it's personal as well. But he's clicking at the right time of the season when we need him most. And like what Roger said, the big players stood up. And the big players like Calmack, Carter Vickers, Kyogo, Joe Hart, the spine of the team is starting to show the experience, the know-how to get you through these final games of the season. And that's when it comes to the boil. That's when hopefully we're going to have more fun and Kyogo benefits from that. That's where I'm standing on at the moment.
Again, I know I'm going to just repeat what you've said and repeat what I'm already saying already now, but as Jamie says there as well, it is exactly that. Partly what Stevens was saying there as well. Right, Abada and Jota out of the equation. They're gone for this season. Jota was sold and Abada was out for about 7 months before he was sold as well. It is what it is. But you're going from a wholly different, impactful style of attacking football, where it was don't think about it, just get the ball out wide and get running at them and whip the ball in. And it was just instincts and reactionary. And that suited Kyogo. That's why Kyogo was bought into the club. It's why Abada was brought into the club. It's why AJ was brought into the club for exactly these skills and attributes. And even taking AJ as an example, he started to show that he's actually developed into Brendan Rodgers' style of football now, and he's looking a lot better the last few games as opposed to the first half of the season. But is it any wonder that we don't play quite that way anymore? It's more a thought-out process of how to attack rather than just barging through with great attacking sense, which I love watching. That we're now at this stage of attacking football, think it through, where we finally have Matt O'Reilly on top of his game and Hattie back, that all of a sudden those two players are the two that got him the assist with great intelligent football and forward passing. It wasn't out wide pass pace, it was actually thought out methodical stuff. But the end result for Kyogo is that Kyogo still makes that last minute run and the ball still lands at his feet and he still does what he does. It's just how the ball is getting to him is different now. But the players are now there to do that. So it is personnel because they weren't there previously. But it's also this formation style because it is different from Ange. It is. But I find it madness that people would actually entertain and be all right with the idea of selling Kyogo. I think that's mad and mental. He's just signed a 5-year deal, did he not, last summer? I don't think it's on his mindset to leave. And he's, 29 this year? I reckon he's probably going to see out the next 2 or 3 years here, then maybe go to the continent for one last hoorah before going back to Japan, which would be absolutely fine by my books. But I don't see him itching to get out, so why are we itching to see him go out when he's an absolute phenomenal player?
I think as well, one of the differences, like you alluded to, the Rodgers style is to draw a team out of possession. It's to draw the opposition onto you and engage at the halfway line, for example, and push them higher up the pitch. Because we play against that low block 9 times out of 10 every week in Scotland. So keeping the slow possession, keeping it within the midfield, the back four, he's wanting their defensive players to come out more. And then that creates a space for a Kyogo, for Amieda to run in behind. Is it frustrating at times? Yes. But it's the style now. And it is finally starting to come to fruition. Look, I'm not saying this season's being perfect by all means. That there's been a lot of flaws in it. We've had a lot of arguments in this podcast throughout this season. But just at this time, at this moment, I think what the fans were doing on Saturday is pull together, support the team, and get through to the end and see where it leaves us. Because right now, I think like what Roger said before, Celtic come alive at times like this. And it is good to see what's happening on the pitch at the moment.
I know he's both made very good points. I'm on the side of him again. I think a lot of Kyogo was it's personnel, and like Jamie said earlier, it's Jota and Abada predominantly for the first couple of seasons. But I'd say it's more personnel, mate, that's not letting him implement the style that he wants to do. Because I would say the styles are very similar, but getting it wide, it's how you get it wide. Whereas Ange would be like one of the reasons Ange obviously played the inverted fullbacks was it gave you gave you more players in the middle of the park, but it freed up your Jotas and your Abadas because it didn't have them necessarily have wing backs doubling up on them. It would open the width for the park, and you would see that like your Carter Vickers and Starfelt, so wouldn't pass it to Taylor or Johnson or Juranovic, it would be straight out to the wingers. You would miss folk out because with them coming inside and making the park sort of getting the middle of the park busy, it just made the wings. It opened up the wings, whereas Rodgers obviously tries to do that, but he doesn't play the inverted fullbacks. It's a different way, but for me, it's
so it is a style. It is a style as well, then.
Well, no, you can't say we're getting it. It is how they implement.
You just said it.
I know what I'm saying, but
this is why it's because you can't have one without the other.
True, but I'd say it's more about personnel, and the fact that we've kind of played Russian roulette with the wingers, I'll no help in it either because it's trying to build that understanding up with them. But we'll park that for for another day. It's Kyogo's on fire. That's what we want. At the end of the day, he's coming good at the right time. And we know it. We'll obviously touch on the derby a wee bit at the end of the podcast, but we know Kyogo likes that fixture as well. So it's always good to have him going in with a bit of confidence. But we'll just kind of jump back to his second goal, and I think goes back to the sort of the personnel maybe that it's getting the ball to Kyogo quick, because you'll maybe see him making 3 or 4 runs before it and maybe never receive the pass. But this was Matt O'Reilly. Anthony just picks it up. I think he's just inside the sort of Hearts defensive side of the park, and that is just in their half, and it plays a really good pass that any quarterback in the NFL would be proud of. And Kyogo just one touch finish, just sort of the wee half volley just into the corner. And I've seen some folks saying Xander Clark should do better, but I sometimes think he's probably not thinking Kyogo's got to connect with this as well. But for me, that was an absolutely superb goal.
I have to say, I always chuckle and love how people try to describe a play made in football, which is the most known sport around the entire world and the most popular sport in Europe, by picking a sport that most people in Europe don't have a fucking clue about, by saying something like a back pass. I'm like, I have no idea what that is. I don't watch that sport. But we do actually know what it is, because we see it so often that we actually know what that pass is. Even though I don't know the sport, I think it's always hilarious. But it is an absolute wonderful pass. One of the things that I actually love about what Kyogo does in that one is he's actually running in between the 2 centre backs, and then he drifts out to the right, and he allows the 2 centre backs to not even realise what he's doing. And he's watching, and he times the ball that is beautifully lobbed over to him, and he just waits for it to come down to his right foot, and as you say, a wee kind of half volley into the back of the net. Should Xander Clark do better? Of course, but he's a Hearts goalkeeper for a reason, and not, the goalkeeper for Man City or something like that for an obvious reason. He's just not that fucking good. But Kyogo does it beautifully. He pulls himself away from both defenders who get caught basically ball watching. They're not realising what Kyogo's doing, and he just times everything perfectly about that just to slot it in with that half volley. An absolute beautiful goal. If it wasn't for the fact that it's so late in the season, which is a debatable thing in itself, that could arguably that should be up there as a nomination for goal of the season. Whether or not it would win is debatable, but it should be up there as a nomination. And
I totally agree. And Stephen, for me, McGinty makes a good point with Kyogo's movement. Yes, for all the world, Matt O'Reilly's pass is absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. You can't speak highly enough of it. But Kyogo does well just to get in the middle of the 2 centre halves and gets the finish.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, 2 seconds. Yeah, fantastic play all around. I was fixing them crayons because they fell off the shelf. Fantastic play all around in terms of the actual team goal. And like McGinty said, if you put that as a whole team effort there, the pass already, the first time finish from Kyogo should be up there with contender goal of the season. But obviously, they decide them awards on Christmas Day and don't leave it towards the end. But that's entirely up to themselves. The finish from Kyogo, it's almost like you get a cross ball in, and all you have to do is glance it towards the goal, and the power kind of takes it by the keeper. I think it was that. He just needed to guide that on target, and the speed of the ball moving was already taking that into the back of the net, and I thought it was just fantastic. And this is what I'm saying. The confidence from O'Reilly to do that, to get that ball over the top, and him running in between, I think it was Frankie Kent and Kyle Rose, and then moving to the right-hand side to create the space, was just fantastic bit of play from him. He knew that ball was coming. He could read that a mile off, and he just had to guide it into the back. But, well, Monty, I've got 2 kids, buddy, and one of them is very interested in arts and crafts, so that's why I've got crayons here. So you can shove it up your hole, you prick. But, I mean, I think that, at Kyogo, all he had to do was guide that on target, and controlling it and not scanning it or not taking a touch and trying to beat a defender. He just oozed confidence in that exact moment, and that's what we need. And like you said, Franny, get into the derby game next week. He loves these games. He loves these environments. And for him, off the back of 3 goals, I think, in his last 2 games, what a brilliant vein of form to be in. And again, a special mention for Big Matt, his wand of a right foot or left foot right into Kyogo. Fantastic.
I know, listen, we'll just jump ahead to the third goal. We'll kind of talk about Joe Hart's saves. We've got to kind of talk about some of the players, and we'll kind of bring up Joe Hart. I thought he had a really good game and had big moments again in the game. But we'll just go to the penalty. I'll come to yourself, Anthony. I mean, no denying the penalty. I think the guys obviously that go to the game had said they noticed obviously Shankland at the game seemed to be making sort of gestures and movements. If to say it's a blatant handball, I've handballed this. And then obviously Matt Riley takes a penalty. We spoke about it earlier. It's put it in the top corner there. The old cliche, put two keepers in, you're just not saving it. What was your thoughts of the penalty? Because obviously Shankland's on a booking already. Do you think he should have been sent off? Or for me, I think it's when you see it, I think he's just totally lost flight of the ball, and it's one of the ones like he's got. Thinks he's getting scudded in the face and just puts his hands up as a natural action. I'm okay with him not getting booked. I don't know. I've heard some folks saying maybe it should have been because it's a deliberate handball, which in an argument you could argue it is a deliberate handball, but for me, I think the penalty is more than enough punishment.
See, without going into the tangent of their game yesterday and the various handballs and all the rest of it, this is where the handball rule and the double jeopardy rule for fouls doesn't come into play for handballs, intentions and all that. This is where common sense needs to come out. Now, does common sense tell you that it's a natural reaction to try and defend your face when the ball's coming straight at you? It probably is. But how many times have we been told that that's an unnatural position because you're not running like that? I mean, it's the most natural thing to do is to cover your face. But at the same time, we're told it's the most unnatural thing because the natural thing is that. I don't know where it all lands in that realm, but the fact that he's already on a yellow and what we've seen yesterday, including the rest of the scene, you could argue easily that could have easily been a second yellow. But the bigger thing about how we got that penalty, watch it again, guys. Liam Scales is an absolute genius. He ducks and allows it to happen. It's almost like he knows the Shankland's about to do it, and he just ducks and watches it go by his scalp him on the arm. Taylor then, when they're doing the review, I think Taylor's then chuckling with him, going, you shat yourself, didn't you? He's pure having a laugh at it. It is what it is. It's apparently, there's no denying it at all. Should he have been booked and sent off for that? Honestly, if it was on us to take a second yellow, I'd be raging. So I'm not going to say that he should. But the whole essence of handballs, penalties, bookings, is all a shitstorm. The penalty itself, though, for Matt Riley, the confidence, it's beautiful. I'm just waiting for one day, and it's going to happen soon enough. He's going to send that ball high into the roof of the net, or try to. He's going to sky it into the stands, and we're going to be back to the beginning.
Who's taking the next penalty?
Who's taking the next one? Perfectly honest, I would leave Matt O'Reilly. If he's going to be here next season, just leave Matt O'Reilly on them. Why keep changing it? Just leave him. People miss penalties. Leave him on it.
Nah, totally agree. People do miss penalties, and we're not going to get anywhere if the guy that misses it knows, well, not, as soon as I miss it, I'm off it. There's no the kind of attitude you want. Before I come to you, Stephen, Celtic, I will not have any slander for Cambuslang. Half my my mum's side of the family's for Cambuslang. We'll have none of that slander on here. Thank you very much. But
I do live in Ireland. You're just not getting the location.
But for me, again, Jamie McElduff makes a good point about Shankland's reaction, and again, we're waiting. The referee, I've seen, also watched the highlights again and stuff, and the ref looks like he's got a great view of it, and I don't know if he is maybe the referee's getting lazy and they're just using, they know they've got the fallback of VAR to get them out of a situation. I don't know where.
Was it VAR?
No, he didn't. It was VAR. He got referred over. Obviously, he gave it straight away. So that's why I'm wondering. When you see the replay, it looks like he's got a clear view of it, and how you cannot see that's a handball is beyond me. Because his arm is not in a natural position.
In cases like that, and I know this isn't what happens in Scottish football, but in cases like that, referees should be questioned behind the scenes by their own bosses. Why they miss blatant issues like that. But when it comes to the actual use of VAR, I guess I can understand that it's meant to be the referee on the pitch has to make the decision. It can't be that VAR makes the decision for him. So I get that he probably has to go to the screen. But at the same time, can VAR not just say to him in the earpiece, by the way, clear and obvious error, it's a clear handball, it's a penalty. What do you mean? his hand goes up and it hits him straight on the forearm in front of his face. Okay, that's a penalty. Why does he need to then go to the screen to watch the same thing to be told, just give the penalty? Assistant ref, don't just say, you want to check that. Actually tell them, assist them. They can speed this whole thing up, surely.
I know, I totally get what you're saying, but then they would then argue it's re-refereeing the game, and that's not what VAR's there for, when in reality VAR's sending them out to a screen. So is it VAR's essentially re-refereeing the game because you're sending a referee over to decide on a decision that he's missed? So I totally understand what you're saying, but I think the reason they tell the ref to go over is so it's him making the decision at the end of the day, and when in reality he's not. But where are you, Stephen? There was a lot of folk in the chat thinking he should have been sent off, a couple thinking the referee called it right by not booking him.
Yeah.
Where are you in it? Do you think it's a red card, or a second booking anyway, and then just talk us about the penalty as well?
Well, apparently the corner of Celtic 8, I'm in Cambuslang. That's where I am from. But I mean, for me, look, that was a blatant penalty kick, and what Jamie McElduff said, when I seen the highlights, Shankland basically stopped playing football for the next 2 minutes because he knew what was coming. He just went, fuck. Shit. That's a penalty.
Had a moment in it. For me, I don't think it's a red card. It's just
he's just had a freak moment. Yeah. Albeit he turns into a fat mess and he plays Sevco, but then he turns into prime Ronaldo and he plays us sometimes and he scores a lot against us recently anyway. But I mean, look, it was a penalty kick, and I thought what McGinty said there about Liam Scales ducking. I watched that back and was like, did he mean to duck or was he going for the flick on? But maybe it was like played out that way. I also like the fact that Rio Hatate hit the corner kick, which means there's different people who can hit corners in. I like seeing Rio getting a chance to set pieces. He's good at picking players out. But yeah, blatant penalty kick. Do I think he should have been sent off? No, doesn't really bother me in the slightest. But when you see the inconsistencies throughout the game at the moment, especially, I mean, according to what I heard on the radio, the referee at the Rangers game couldn't wait. David Dickinson couldn't wait to send the Kilmarnock player off. It was like a kid at Christmas to get them back into the game after going 1-0 behind. That's another pattern of assistance. That's another game where they fell behind and got a penalty kick. The same thing happened to us against St Johnstone at Parkhead not so long ago. There was no penalty, no red card. And he stopped the ball, get in with his hand on the line.
That's a good point.
There's a lot of inconsistencies throughout the game. We've talked about it till we're blue in the face. Quite funny that. But yeah, it was a blatant penalty kick. I thought Shankland's reaction is like, you ever seen when you're a kid and you get caught doing something by your parents and you're like, it wasn't me. That's what that was like. And yeah, 100% penalty.
And it's funny because I totally forgot about that St Johnstone goal, and I can remember at the time I thought it would have been I say a harsh penalty, harsh in the sense that the shot was kind of from close proximity, but he stopped it on the line with his hand. I would have, for me, it was a penalty and nothing more on that occasion as well. I wouldn't want to have sent him off because I don't believe it was a deliberate handball, but he stopped a goal scoring opportunity. I'd actually totally forgot about that one, and I actually seen the first half of the Rangers game yesterday. And on one hand, that David Dickinson never gave a penalty right off the bat and got sent over to the more. I mean, VAR was desperate. I would say it was more VAR were desperate to give Rangers a penalty.
Your man, that Dick Kirkland.
They were desperate to give him a penalty, but we'll just kind of we'll probably touch on that a wee bit when we're talking about maybe the weekend's game and where we stand in the league and things like that. But I'll just come back to you, Stephen. Just for me, not just yesterday, but I think in recent weeks, some of the senior players are proper stepping up now when it matters. Obviously, they know what it takes to go over the line and things. But for me, Joe Hart yesterday, I think not just yesterday, I mean, had great save obviously for Devlin when it's 1-0.
Mm-hmm.
He had two in the second half. I think one was for, I think the boy's name's Odo, the Japanese boy.
Japanese player, yeah.
And then he had one just at the start of the second half where he came out, got off his line quick. I think inevitably it called for offside, but at the time, pardon me, didn't know that. But for me, I think ever since he's announced his retirement, he's had big moments in every game. It's mad. It just feels like that's what's happened. I think Forrest, since he's came back in, has really stepped up. Callum McGregor obviously with Dutch has had a wee bit of dip in form, but I think a lot of that's down to the injuries and stuff like that. But then he looked sharp on Saturday. I don't know what you want to say about any of the three players. If there was anybody else yesterday and Saturday and of late that's kind of stuck out for you, that's feels like they might drag us over the line.
Well, I mean, you made a good point there, Franny, about when Joe Hart announced his retirement. He seems to be involved in big moments. You never know. Mentally, him announcing that could have brought a big weight off his shoulders, and kind of the mental side of things, toying with that idea, saying, when will I announce it? When's the right time? He still feels the pressure playing for a massive club, obviously, but I mean, internally now he's not fighting that. Should I retire? Am I retiring? What's my next step? So that's out of the way now. Maybe that's played a part in why he's actually came back to form. I thought, like you said, and again, like what Roger said, the senior players within the dressing room now are really stand up to be counted. The Cammy Devlin save, I thought Cammy Devlin took a great first touch and hit that in the half volley. And look, it was a brilliant save, nice one-hander round the post. Still like Cammy Devlin, by the way. He's very tenacious, but like, you know, that's for a different podcast in terms of that. But I mean, I also didn't Oda. He came out and didn't he spread himself? Was that the one where he's in the box and he spread himself at the edge of the box?
I think
Yeah.
well, I don't know if it was that one or there was one where he kind of went through and it kind of hit off Joe Hart's chest.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm talking about now. And then, like you said, the big moments he's standing up and been counted. Obviously, the inconsistency we have a centre back. He's the one who's really galvanising the back four at the moment. I think Carter Vickers, since he's come back, I think he's been immense. Do you know what I mean? I think he's been a rock there, and it's good to have that kind of partnership with. I mean, him and Scales have been there all season, so that's what we're going to see the season out with. And then you've got AJ coming back into form, and Greg Taylor just being his usual self. James Forrest has come back, and like you said, it was funny, Franny, the hokey pokey with the fucking wingers situation we've had all season. Who we're playing, who's dropping in, who's dropping out. He's come in, and he's just shown his experience and his know-how, and he's popped up with a few goals, and he's shown that he's not finished. And look, is it one of them ones where it's just for him to come in, it's the perfect time of the season to come back into the team, show his worth, and show he's not really quite done yet. And he's only 32. I don't necessarily believe he is done, but I mean, playing at the top level week in, week out. But so far, at the moment, he showed he's quick enough still. There was one bit of the game I've seen where I think it was, might have been, who was on the left? Someone had it on the left. James, he was making the run in, I think it was Palma. And James, he was beating your man Kingsley in a foot race, and they went for the shot, and James was running with his arms out, being like, "Why did it's not play me in?" No one lemon, so he's getting in the right positions. He's making himself available. Yeah. Kyogo, as I said, he's obviously one of the stalwarts of the team now. He's been over the course twice now in the league, so he knows what's needed. And having players like Meta back after we're fully about for the end of the season is fantastic. And Calmac, look, all them rumours going about, is he retiring? And there's them WhatsApp rumours, and it starts to play on the wee bit because you look at him, like, he has been off form since he's back from injury. Was he just finding his way back into that kind of tempo again after he plays like 60 games a season? The man's an absolute machine. I've noticed, though, he does have grey hair. he's starting to show it now, which is quite funny. But like watching him in the foot race with Fargas and winning the first tackle and then the second tackle to take the ball away was fantastic. And the absolute roar, the roar at Celtic Park when that happened was like celebrating the goal. That's what it meant to the fans, and obviously Calmac's fed off that. And look, if he's back to his top form, that remains to be seen. I think we're too quick to say a player's back after doing something good in the game. He needs to show that again over the next couple of games anyway. But he's our captain, he's our main player, and having him, Rio and Matt O'Reilly, is that cornerstone of midfield now. He's just fantastic.
Nah, totally agree on it. Like I say, I can't be saying again. Like for me, Joe Hart he is pulling off big saves, and it's a good point that Stephen makes. Maybe just that pressure off his shoulders. It's now he can. I say relax, not necessarily relax, such as in that sense, but just it kind of eases him up a wee bit and things like that. And then for me, I take the notes here, like when we talk about James Forrest and all the other wingers. Like James Forrest has had 20 games so far this season, 5 goals. Kuhn, 11 starts, 11 games, 2 goals, 1 assist. Maeda, 31, 5 goals, 3 assists. Palmer, 31 games, 8 goals, 9 assists. Yang, 29 games, 1 goal, 3 assists. James Forrest, I mean, whether we like it or not, is not necessarily seen him as a long-term solution to the wingers. But when you look at that, with a few games left to play, I mean, one would argue Palmer should be in there, but I think Maeda plays.
No one's arguing that.
Well, if you would. I'm kind of the angle I'm coming at was when you're looking at numbers, whereas Forrest is on a goal every 5 games, which is pretty good return for a winger, and Palmer's like, well, what's that? 17 goal contributions in 31 games, so he's guaranteeing you a goal every second game. But I just think Maeda, as we know, has to play. But for me, Forrest, I think is stepping up, and other players, I don't know if there's anybody else that's sticking out for you lately, Anthony, and somebody that just drag us over the line.
Before I say anything, I need to talk about that. Halfway is not posh. Not at all. Not
Nah.
Not a chance.
What's halfway?
It's a part of the canvas line.
Oh, right, okay. I thought he meant like halfway.
You've got the halfway, the circuit, and that. Canvas line was class. I grew up a lot. Well, I say I grew up there. I spent many a class weekends there. I used to go down there every weekend. Chuck Staines at trains and that, man. It was great. It was a great life.
Staines?
Stones. Like I would chuck stones at trains, mate. I mean,
you just got yourself a wee chocolate Polish in the morning, right?
Probably wasn't the best thing with them, but me and my cousin used to just spend hours chucking stones at trains. But I loved Canvas Line, man. Still do.
Not overly wrong. I grew up in Ruggie, so know both of them quite well. And Canvas Line's an absolute thing, but I'm not having halfways being posh. Not a chance.
No, there's not as much as I'll stack up for Canvas Line. There's not a posh part of it.
No. No. There's. I mean, you can go to Burnside, which is neither either place, but no, it's not posh. The players, let's start with Joe Hart. Absolutely phenomenal season he's having. Well, as we say, since he announced his retirement, stepping up a level. I don't know what it is. Is he playing with less pressure? Is he playing with more belief in himself? Is he playing with maybe an attitude of, I'm going out with a bang here. I'm making sure I'm getting these winners' medals before I leave. Who cares? Who knows? Either which way, he's absolutely phenomenal. 3 massive saves. Well, 2.5 massive saves, because one of them technically was offside, so it didn't really matter, but he didn't know that at the time. But you had the one in the first half. The shot comes from our right side, their left, and it's a diving, outstretched arm to stop it going in the back post. He's then had the one where he came rushing out to the edge of the box and made almost a double save that you're alluding to earlier, Stephen. And then it was Oda, I believe, that the one where he saves it just about here, just on the edge of the 6-yard box. Massive saves. And he's doing that every game now. He's always coming up with something that helps keep us in the game, or keeps a clean sheet or something. He's really, really having a great game, a great season now. Calmax coming back into people were debating a couple of weeks ago, last week even, should we be dropped for the rest of the season? Can we afford being kind of at 80% or 90% and not being at 100%? No, you have to play them all the time. And you have to play them all the time so you can get them up to speed. And I would love to believe that that's him now up to speed, ready for Saturday coming, along with the rest of the guys. James Forrest, I've got this thing, and maybe it's playing Football Manager too many years in my life now, but I love having 2 players for each position. And it doesn't necessarily need to be an old head and a 19-year-old, but it should be 2 players where one can help the other one, be it that they bring them on or be there to take over when he needs us. James Forrest is prime for that. At the age of 32, he's still got a couple of years in him easily. He's not that old, but he's prime for being that right wing. And pick, or we're going to stick with Kuhn or Yang, and let Forrest be the main guy next year, and the other one gets 25, 30 appearances, good appearances, not 5 minute sub appearances, but good appearances throughout the season, and bring them on so that actually in a year's time, one of them is born ready to take over. Rinse and repeat sort of thing. Same with the left side. Maeda is who Maeda is. If it's Maeda and Palmer, that's it. Just stick with them and work on them instead of and changing, constantly trying to get 7. I think we've got 7 wingers trying to get a position, and then you're looking at youth players who can't get a shout in. At least if you pick 2 right wingers like Forrest and Kuhn, and then we can say, like, a young youth talent, there's an opportunity here somewhere in time that you can get, a dozen games. That would be ideal. But on the whole, James Forrest he's shown the experience and the class that he's got. He should probably more than likely start at the weekend, along with Dyson Maeda on the left. I think that's probably how we're going to start the game, and he deserves to, because he's experience and his leadership, even in the team, is warranting coming in to that game. It's a game of all games that we can't really fuck around with. So go with what's now being proven to be the best option, and just go with it.
See that point you made there about Forrest, sorry, Franny, about starting the Derby game next week. See, about maybe before Christmas, that thought would have pissed me off. It would have angered me. And it's no disrespect towards Jamesy, but like you said, Anthony, we've got a multitude of wingers, but none have stepped up to make the grade. Yeah, we've got Kuhn, who's seemingly coming on to his game, but is he ready for this kind of pressure cooker at the weekend? You've got Palma. I mean, Palma's... I'm not playing my own trumpet, whatever the saying is here, but I've said it from the start. He's never really impressed me on the eye. Franny's right with stats; it's impressive, but on the eye overall, as a footballer, he's never really caught my attention. Then Jamesy's come in and he's took that mantelpiece and shown that he can roll back the ears and produce goals and assists. Do you know what I mean? Like a Sweeties at points, and it's a whole wider thing here. It's a recruitment issue, isn't it? We have 78 wingers, all vying for a starting position, and possibly 2 of them are good enough for first team level, and that's Maeda and Jamesy at this precise moment. That's a really sad indictment of where we are as a club in terms of the wingers we have at our disposal. I'm so bad at speaking sometimes, it's embarrassing. But like Jamesy and like you said, Maeda is probably our shoot-in, our nailed-on starter for next week in the Derby game. If you had said that to me before Christmas for Forrest anyway, I'd be like, you're talking shite. But this is where we are at the minute, and he's showing the goods. He's producing week in, week out, and you can't really deny him what he's doing at the minute. He's fantastic at this precise moment in time.
No, I totally agree. I think it's more not like you say, we're not to downplay Forrest or any disrespect, but I think it is, like you say, it's a recruitment thing. Why you're going back to Forrest? I mean, you've got to credit Forrest that he's, in one hand, you could say to him, he's seen all these challenges. I feel like, because for me, I think, well, Kuhn, I've went like this with Kuhn. I feel like it obviously came out there was mitigating factors why he had dental issues and obviously had lost weight and things like that when he first came in. But I'd written him off pretty quick. Then he had a wee bit of form. James's favourite term, a wee purple patch. But then for me, I think Kuhn has been pretty anonymous the last couple of games, and like there was not many poor performers on Saturday. But for me, I don't think Kuhn really covered his cell in glory. And for me, I'm not saying to see him right out of the team, but I think he might find his cell on the bench coming out the weekend. But before we kind of touch on that game, well, not really. I mean, me and Anthony obviously spoke about it last week, but we're one game further on, Stephen, in a quest to try and win this league, if you like. I'm not really, obviously we know what it means winning that game at the weekend and whatnot. For winning that game and stuff. It's, I mean, after the weekend's fixtures we're essentially the status quo, but one game down. We're still 3 points ahead, 5 points better off in the goal difference. That's not changed. So it's, the advantage is still with us, and you could argue more with us because it's one less game we can slip up on now because we've seen a game off. But just where are you confidence-wise with the league title without really, let's say we'll talk about the Rangers game, but where are you another week down, another game chalked off, if you like?
I'm trying not to look too far ahead. I'm trying not to predict what's going to happen in the coming games. Yes, we've took care of the Hearts and the previous games before that, and that's the main thing. We focus on it a game at a time, and we take it as that. We got the 3 points. We're still 3 points clear. The goal difference is still intact, and it is advantage Celtic. And again, I've alluded to the fact that Celtic come alive in the pressure environments. We've been over the course, I mean, a multitude of times in terms of winning league titles. It's basically staying at Parkhead for the foreseeable, in my opinion. But it's one of these ones. Look, if you percentage wise, and people may think I'm on something here in the comments and yourselves, I'm probably 70%. I'm giving myself that 30% buffer. I don't want to be over egging it, but like we're 100% blah blah blah. Like these games coming up, these games coming up, can we drop points? Of course we can. The biggest one is coming up here at the weekend, and then the Kilmarnock game still gives me the fear. Kilmarnock under Derek McInnes have been playing well and played well against us in recent history. So there's a couple of games in there that could prove tricky. As long as we keep taking care of our own house and keep it in order and keep doing it, keep winning games, we'll win the league. That's obvious. That's Mavs, it's points, it's goals and all involved in that. Do you know what I mean? So at the end of the day, if we win all our games, we'll win the league title. It sounds easy, but I don't think it will be. I still think there's a couple of games in here we're going to have heart attacks as Celtic supporters. We're going to be sweating, making us go through the ringer and doing it the hard way, like we always do. It's the thrill of the chase, I suppose. It's the thrill of the journey. But yeah, about 70%, and that's not me being a dick to say, oh, if we drop points, I told you so. It's just to kind of give myself that wee bit of a buffer zone to be like, yeah, this can happen, that can happen. Where 70% of me's like, bang, we're nailed on for the title. That's where I'm sitting at the moment. We took our hearts, a tricky game. They've beat us twice this season. Next derby game, they haven't beat us this season. So I'm confident getting into it. But, anything can happen.
I know. I think that's fair, Stephen. I think most fans, you'll get the ones that are McGinty that'll be, we're 100%. We're definitely winning the league. That's fine, but it's your gift as a fan to be wherever you want to be. But I think if we're being honest, we're in a good position. Obviously, that goes without saying. Obviously, Saturday, if we win that, it's not mathematically done, but we'll pick up 1 point over the next two games. Where I'm I'm okay. I'm probably a wee bit better than Stephen when my percentage is maybe a wee bit higher. But obviously Saturday that changes the whole outlook. Obviously, if that's became similar to the Ibrox game for me, where it's I must not lose that game. And but obviously, for the way I'm looking at it, if we get out of that, the status quo at worst, I think we go to Kilmarnock and win. It's maybe a wee bit of arrogance. I don't see Kilmarnock beating us 3 times at Rugby Park this season. I just didn't see that happening. I hope I'm proved. I don't get proved wrong, but then I suppose if we beat Rangers and Kilmarnock can beat us all we want, because surely we'll beat St Mirren at home again. That could end up getting clipped up and come back to me. But where's your mood, Anthony? Another weekend and essentially one step closer, but still miles away.
When they played, that's exactly it. It's one step closer, still miles away, but one step closer. When they played Dundee and dropped points, and then played Ross County and dropped points, when they played Dundee, I think everybody in the sun would say, right, that's it, advantage Celtic. It's in our hands. We need to make sure something happens. It's just a case of literally win all our games. There's no debate about it. It's just, we spoke about how that changed it for both teams, saying it's in both our hands it's in our hands more than theirs, just ever so slightly. Then they get beat they drop points against Ross County again. And that just propels it right into our hands because it's 3 points clear with a 5-goal difference. And every game that gets chopped off, it is one less game that they can catch us, one less game that we can slip up in. And it just cements it. It incrementally just makes it a little bit more of a sure thing, to the point that we're going to play them on Saturday. I think you're spot on there. It's now became just don't lose game more than anything else. And I don't think we'll go into it as a mentality of that. I think we'll go into the mentality as win this game, you win the league. Because if we win on Saturday, we go 6 points clear with minimum a 6-goal difference. Because obviously you have to win by 1 to win a game, so it would be a minimum 6. Just to make that clear.
You caught me off guard on that. I was like, what does he make noise of?
But you go into the last 2 games, and at that stage, without being premature or anything, I don't think anybody else in the top 6 has anything else to play for now. The positions are what they are. Hearts are secured third. Kilmarnock, I think, are 6 points clear of St Mirren. Yes, there's 3 games to go, so yes, they could. But are St Mirren really going to win 3 games in a row here? Probably not. Not when we're one of those games at the end of the season as well. So I don't see Kilmarnock moving. I don't see Hearts can't move. Kilmarnock don't see moving. Dundee and St Mirren, there's a debate there, but I think St Mirren are pretty much tied off that last European spot. So I don't think any team, especially going into those last 2 games against Kilmarnock and St Mirren, I don't think anybody's got anything to play for apart from Celtic and Rangers. So I don't see, fundamentally, with 3 games to go, I don't see us dropping points in 2 of the 3 games. I just don't see how that happens. Obviously, it could, but logically, it just doesn't work. Without being cocky, we're too good to be dropping points in 2 of the last 3 games. I think we see ourselves through that. So even if we get beat on Saturday coming and they go level with us and say they beat us by 2 goals, that makes it 1 goal advantage to us. 2 games to go. It will then come down to goal difference. And that's the challenge. But then, as you say, I just don't get beat means if we draw and we go into the last 2 games with 3 points over them, it's all but done. I just don't see how we're not going to win this league.
No, I'm really looking forward to Saturday, but I think the closer it gets, Stephen, it'll be the nerves and all that will kick in. There will be a wee bit amplified because we know what's at stake come Saturday. I mean, obviously these games are massive every time they come around, but Saturday it's always good because you've got yes, we did touch on it earlier. It's not mathematically going to be confirmed, but like Anthony said, we'll be 6 points ahead with 6 to play for, with a goal difference of at least +6 over them, which essentially will be almost like another point, if you like. So it'll be done without it being mathematically, but we'll just kind of talk, just where your head's at for Saturday. We'll not dive too much in it to take away from Wednesday and Friday's podcast, but I just your sort of where are you on Monday in the lead up to Derby Day, which could be a big day for us.
I think you lot know me by now. My mind will chop and change every single day, right up until the lineup is announced on Saturday morning. Look, the last couple of Derby games, I'll be honest, I was pretty confident and relaxed, mainly because Rogers shows up in these games, doesn't he? With the mind games, with the tactics, with all that kind of stuff. He had the know-how of getting through these Glasgow Derby games. I think he has Clement rattled, or Clementine as I like to call him. I mean, as McGinty pointed out to me, no, San Fran, I'll be out jogging or something. But as McGinty pointed out to me before we come on, I actually forgot about it. He did 2 separate interviews, one of which he said he would never disrespect his opponent the way Rogers did by saying they're going to have fun, and then in the interview after it, he said we'll see if we can have some fun as well. The guy's gone. His head mentally, I think, in the clouds at the moment, because obviously he hasn't experienced the heat of what Glasgow can bring. But Monday, you're feeling apprehensive and anxious because the game's so far away and the week's going to drag in, and you're going to be in work wishing your time away, wishing the hours away just to get one day done, another day done, and closer to Saturday you get. And then obviously the double pivot on Wednesday, we'll be talking about it more in the Friday podcast. So it's the build up throughout the entire week that's exciting as well. I just want the game here and done. That's my mindset, because it's going to be just up until then your thoughts are going to be, what if this happens? What if they get an early goal? What if we don't score? What if the defence? What if someone gets injured during the match? And it all runs and plays through your mind and the week of, leading up to the actual kickoff time at Parkhead. But probably now I'm more anxious and apprehensive than anything. But that's not due to nerves. It's just due to I know that the week's going to drag in. I'm going to be racking my brains thinking of stuff and going to be like all these different outcomes because I'm thinking about it a lot. But and more so with the team wise of Rodgers, I'm pretty comfortable with them in terms of what they'll bring to the pitch. And like what Roger said, it's going to be absolutely fire and brimstone when it comes to Saturday kickoff time.
What a wrestling reference there.
Was it? Who's Undertaker?
Undertaker. Aye.
I didn't even mean that, but there we go.
But I will just kind of come to you just before we round it up. Where's your head at on Monday, the lead up to the Derby game?
Oh, confident. As I've said, mostly for these games of the last couple of years now, especially this season, my bigger concern is the referees and VAR. I'm not concerned about them as a team. Steve, I don't know. It depends if we all manage to watch the game as well. No, actually, I took the day off, so I will definitely be watching the game. My bigger concern is, as I say, is VAR and the refs. I think we've got them in our back pocket.
When does that team get announced? Midweek, isn't it?
Not sure what the refereeing team is.
The ref case, I have no idea. Doesn't matter. You know who's going to be Dallas and VAR beating on in the middle.
Well, he beaten our fucking the other boy we complained about. I think
Robertson.
Clancy's the first ref. I think
Robertson.
Crawford Clancy's the first referee we've had that wasn't beating our fucking Robertson since we moaned about him.
Aye. No, it was Maestro. I think I just scrolling back to it. Maestro put the team up here.
A team up.
He thought it was going to be.
See if I can find it.
100%. That's it. There's no way
That's
that's
my
not
team.
the lineup. That's everything's built and been building to this point for the last 2-3 weeks. That's the team. There's going to be no surprise, no shake-up. Unfortunately for Tavernier, he's going to have to deal with Maeda once again. I'm also confident we might concede because they will get at us and they'll try and get fouls and disrupt the play and all the rest of it and try and kill our game off. But overall, the quality that we have and the way that we're coming onto a game across the whole pitch, I didn't see anything but a win. I'm confident. I'm not too cocky, but I'm confident of it.
I think that's where my head's at now as well. Just are we sort of a wee bit confident that I think that'll change as the week goes on because it's natural. The emotions will get the better of you and things like that. And you're like Stephen, you're just all over the place. You just don't know where and what to think. You're praying not to get a bit of bad news on the injury front and stuff. But the guys that are on Wednesday will no doubt talk more about it, and certainly Friday. I think they get that game might get mentioned on Friday's podcast, but I'm not too sure.
Just a bit.
But
I've got a question for you, Stephen. Though,
go for
knowing how long your Friday efforts are, and the fact that the game's at 12:30 on a Saturday, are you going to go for a 3-hour slot, or are you going to be a bit more sensible?
I tell you what.
Didn't you ask stupid fucking quiz questions?
I'll tell you what. Whoever actually stayed for the full length of Friday's podcast had a great time. I enjoyed it. It was brilliant crack.
It was good, but some of your questions are fucking madness, man.
Do you want to do another quiz now?
Absolutely not. No, working
not a chance. It's the fact that you sit there and see everybody did it, so you're like, you actually realise what you're asking folk here.
Mate, who doesn't know the population decline of Lithuania between 2015 and 2020? Exactly. You should know that. It's basic knowledge.
I mean, it doesn't help when the quiz host does not realise that Hong Kong is actually in China and is not a country. That does not help things. Then he also asks a question, and then
Hong Kong is a country, But yeah. Thank you, Paul, buddy. Thank you.
Paul said Friday podcast is one of the best. And also when the quizmaster reads out a question, then Carnegie doesn't ken who's right because the answer's in French, so he doesn't actually know.
I do then have to ask, why are we on a Celtic podcast asking about Hong Kong and French politics?
Because it was a general knowledge quiz, McGinty. That's what it was. A few scoops.
I can imagine what your Celtic questions would be. Something nonsense like who's.
I've done them all. And then they complain. They're always like, "Oh, you've done this question last week." So you know what I've done? I've done general knowledge, McGinty. And do you know what the prize was? Once they reached a certain amount of questions and points, we could talk about Celtic again. It wasn't my fault that Ross and James were as thick as two planks. So that's what took so long.
Aye. Well, folk were saying they enjoyed it, so we'll believe them, but it doesn't give you scope to just go and act mental and ask.
Oh, it gives me scope. I'm going to be scoping out this week. Don't worry, it's happening.
But anyway, no, we'll wrap it up. We'll wrap it up for the day. But have you enjoyed it today, boys?
Brilliant, mate. Good crack. Bit of fun.
Good. Well, just keep the smells going because we've got to love these and leave these everybody in the chat. I've just noticed clocked it's 157 tuning in live, which is class. That's brilliant. There's also new folk in the comments and stuff. So if you like what you're saying, just like and share, just tell folk, even dislike it. I'm led to believe it's all about algorithm. So even if you put a wee thumbs down on it, still gets some activity towards the YouTube channel. At the end of the day, we'll just do this for a laugh. At the end of the day, it's not really in it for anything else.
Just a bit of fun.
I'll take some free tickets if folk are chucking my way like
I'll take some merch.
Aye, I'll not chuck anything away like Celtic. I'll accept it gleefully. I'll wear it with a smile, but nah, just keep the smiles going because that's us about to love yous and leave yous. We're going to do an awkward wave. We just really need to sort out a fucking video.